Rick, it's really good to see you. Today we are talking through 3 reasons your Social Security check may be lower. Despite a sharp increase in the COLA this year, a lot of people were surprised when they saw that their Social Security payments were lower this year. So we're breaking down 3 common reasons why. And first on those list of reasons, pretty straightforward, you simply earned too much last year.
Well, and they call this the earnings test. And nobody thinks, oh, well, Social Security should go up every year. But there's a couple things that can actually cause it to go down. And you never really see that until the following year. And then it's too late to make a change for the previous year. So what this earnings test means is if you make too much, so what they call the full retirement age or FRA. And for you, it might be 66 and 8 months or 66 and 10 months. It could be 67 years old. But if you haven't reached your full retirement age and you make over $21,240, what ends up happening is for every $2 that you make, you got to give $1 back. But then what the government will tell you is that's okay. You made too much, so we withheld some of your Social Security from you. You didn't know it was going to happen, so you're shocked. But then they'll try and make you feel good and say, but you know what we'll do is we'll give it to you a little bit later on. We'll pay you back what we took, and we'll pay it back to you at a later date, thinking that you're going to get this big check later on. And what ends up happening is you just end up getting small increases in your payment because they end up paying it back to you over your lifetime. So, and then what ends up happening is, let's say that you're in the year that you turn your full retirement age, you can earn a lot more. You can make $56,520. And if you make over that, for every $3 you make, you got to give $1 back. Mm-hmm. So where this really dings people is somebody who says, you know what, I've worked for this company for 30 years. I'm going to retire. And then I'm going to go back maybe and work for them as a consultant. And we see this a lot with people who retire. They leave, they turn on their Social Security at age 62. And then a few months later, they go back and they work as a consultant and they make over $21,000. And then they get shocked, right? This also is affecting people who are maybe partly retired. They're easing into retirement and they don't know this earnings test exists. Or maybe the people who are becoming unretired. They retired for a year. They're now in the 13th month and they're realizing, this doesn't really feel too good. And so what they want to do is go back to work and shut off Social Security. But after 12 months, you can't shut it off again. Right. And even if you did, you'd have to pay everything back that you had already accumulated. So really the system isn't set up in the most advantageous way for the people is what I'm trying to say.
Well said. Yeah, this is a lot of advanced math. This is why we're talking it through. So the second reason here, though, is pretty straightforward. You changed your Medicare coverage.
Right. So if you took Social Security at, say, 62, you're not Medicare age until 65. Mm-hmm. So here you're getting your Social Security check. Everything is going okay. And then you hit 65 and it goes down. Well, why? Part A is premium free. That's your hospital. That's going to be your premium free. But your Part B, that's your doctor Medicare. And so that costs right now about $165. Then you have Part D, which is drug, and that's going to cost, who knows, maybe another $50. So if you add those two together, that's over $200 in new expenses that's coming out of your Medicare check. So you're expecting an increase, but then you hit 65, now you're on Medicare, and they take those payments out of that, and the increase that you hope you would get, you actually don't get.
Right. And the third one here, this is a Medicare premium surcharge that's known as IRMAA.
So IRMAA, I think, wasn't IRMAA a hurricane?
Yes.
A while back? And it can be a hurricane too. So one of the questions that we get a lot of is, well, something happened like a couple years back and now my Medicare premiums are sky high. What caused that? And so what happens is there's these thresholds for IRMAA. It's basically what we call this is the Medicare premium surtax or surcharge. What that means is if you make too much, then Medicare can actually increase the amount of premiums that you have to pay. So in this example, you'll see that the threshold for this couple is $194,000. Once they break that threshold over $194,000, now all of a sudden you got to pay more and more in Medicare premiums. And here's the ticker. Or here's the real trick to this. They actually are 2 years in arrears. So if you do something this year, being 2023, and you have a big payment, you have a lot of income in this year, your Medicare premiums actually would not increase until 2 years from now, 2025. So it's clearly in your rear view mirror, but the government finally catches up to you. And then 2 years later, and who knows what your financial situation is then, but 2 years later, all of a sudden you've got these increases in your Medicare premiums because of what you did before. So where we see this happen is people that either do Roth conversions, maybe they sold a property and had a lot of capital gains, maybe they sold some stock or an inheritance. I had one, I kind of brought this out when were talking about this, because this is a guy who all he wanted to do was put a porch on, and it was going to cost him $50,000. And so his premium was $165 for Medicare at the time. And so what ended up happening is he took $50,000 out of his IRA, which is taxable money, to pay for the porch. That was done. And then 2 years later, Uncle Sam sends him a note saying, oh, your Medicare premiums just went up to $420 a month, not
From
165.
165?
165 up. Oof. For what happened 2 years in the past.
Right.
And it happened 2 years later. So you got to be careful about that as it applies to, Medicare or IRMAA or whatever. It's a hurricane, not only just in weather, it's a hurricane in finances too.
I feel like you are kind of answering this question, but I just want to ask it explicitly then. How do you avoid the IRMAA penalty?
So what you can do with the IRMAA penalties, be careful where you are. All right. So there's probably a couple things that you could do. Number one, just know that it exists. And if you're taking money out, let's say for this guy, an example, let's say that it was December and he was wanting to take this $50,000 out. If he knew where he was in the threshold, he could actually say, I'm going to take $25,000 out this year and it won't affect anything. And then I'll wait a month until January and I'll take out another $25,000. You still get your 50, but you spread it out over 2 tax years. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is you can actually you can fill out a form and you can ask to have it like this was a one-time deal. Please don't charge me IRMAA. But there's so much red tape with doing that. You got to ask the government to do it. So that might be a little hairy, although I know that the people have done that in the past.
Okay. Well, like we were mentioning, a little bit of advanced math here. I think clearly a lot of strategies can help you with this. So Nick, if somebody has questions about anything we've covered today, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, the best way is there's so much information that we have, not only on our YouTube channel, but also on our website, group10financial.com. Has a lot of great content. And if you're going through there, there's buttons where you can set up a 15-minute virtual strategy session with us, which is just a quick call to check in and see what's going on and how we can help you if there's anything that needs to be done. You can also give us a call at 1-844-GROUP-10. So that's 844-GROUP-10, and set up a time with one of our advisors to go over your situation. And it's almost like a lab session where you can take what's going on out there in the real world and figure out how it applies to you and your circumstance. And it's a great way to do it. Low stress, no cost or anything. It's just an opportunity to get your questions answered. And that's the most important thing when it comes to Social Security and Medicare and IRMAA and taxes. That's the best way to do it, is to try and figure out how it applies to you.
Right. Perfect. All right, Nick, thank you so much.
Great being with you.